the sponsor on it. All right, you good?
Yeah.
Let me start here. Good win. That was proud of our guys. That's a good football team, and obviously knowing that the team playing them last year, the coaching staff and all that to get the win, we're obviously excited about that. And to come back here and do it in Albertson Stadium, in front of our fans, our guys are fired up to do that, fired up to play. So all those things, the atmosphere, all that was very good. Still some things, you go back, you'll watch the game, and we'll watch the game, and is it perfect? No, and that's our jobs. As players and coaches to go back and look at it. You're playing against teams that are trying to stop you, all right? How do you go back and fix those things and get prepared for the next game? We'll look at it, but overall, those guys fought. Watch the defense come out there, and those guys fight every single play, and I think we held them under 100 yards rushing, which is a team that's got two good backs and a very good O-line. So front seven, linebackers and D-line playing well, and then offensively we started fast and kind of got it rolling a little bit, got a couple other guys in the mix catching the ball and running the ball, but consistency comes up to be the number one thing that you're always looking at on the offensive side. Special teams still need to have that. We had some things in the return game that were good, but still looking for that big play opportunity. It was good to have Dan at the end tonight finish it off and make that field goal there at the end. So, a lot of positives to win the game. It's not easy to do that. You look at the scores. To win a college football game at the same time when you walk out of there and there's still a lot that you can get better at, it makes it fun, and that's kind of the edge that you like these guys to have, is satisfied with the win, at the same time excited about tomorrow and getting back to work and figuring out a way to improve, and that's all of us. So we'll do it. We've got 24 hours to enjoy this, and we'll be on to Air Force from there. So with that, open up for questions.
No Jeremy tonight, and it seemed like Corey played a lot at safety and Dylan Sumner Gardner.
Yeah, we used Corey back there. We didn't want to take Corey off the field. We were in a set where we had Tanner also playing kind of that nickel position, so to get Corey back. And then Jeremy just, he's not healthy right now. And in an emergency situation could play, but, with where he's at right now, we'll have him back next week. He'll be feeling better. Just wasn't feeling good tonight. But Dylan Sumner Gardner putting Corey back there, it's a credit to Corey. We asked him to play multiple positions, and he had to learn a couple, and he's a senior, so he's able to do that. And then Chancellor James back there as well, making plays. So, hopefully we'll get all those. Brian Douglas got in the mix tonight. He's back in there, but we'll get Jeremy going again next week. We'll get Troy going again next week. Reese will be back in the mix. So, and hopefully walk out of here with, I don't think anybody had anything significant that's going to keep them out, but a couple bumps and bruises, and hopefully we're healthy going to the Air Force game and conference play.
To go back to Jeremy for just a second, was his injury considered fairly serious this week? Were you worried about him for a minute?
Yeah, I'm always worried about our guys, if guys can't play. But I think we'll get him back, and it was significant enough to keep him from playing, so that's a serious, type of player he is. And we'll see how he feels tomorrow. I think tonight, he felt somewhat decent, but like I've told you, if a guy's not practicing throughout the week, we're going to get some other guys in there, and that's part of it. And those guys were playing well, and if we had to use them, we would have, but we didn't need to tonight.
Coach, the run defense has been so good so far through 4 games, and just tonight was another big test, and they stood up to it. How impressive have you been with that aspect this year? And then, tonight, as you said, against a team that had 3 options that could beat you.
Yeah. Well, I've been impressed, with the way those guys have played. And, that they take a lot of pride in that. The D-line and the linebackers are taking a tremendous amount of pride. And, you got to be we want to be good at something. And we've been good at stopping the run. And we've gotten better in the other areas. But it's hard. If a team's struggling to run the ball, it makes it difficult for them to have success. And we felt the same way on offense. So, I think the way that the D-line is coming out there and making that a point of emphasis throughout practice and into the games, the linebackers as well, is starting to show up, and I think it's making it difficult on teams when we play them to try to run the ball, and they're going to. You know, that's what they do, and they got to figure out if they can or not. But we just, you know, fortunately, these last few games have kind of stepped up in that area.
Would you talk about the confidence and maybe the chemistry you're developing with Mike Sanford Jr.? It seemed like, especially those first two drives, the execution on the play calling,
Yep.
they were able to really jump on top of him early.
Yeah, you know, I thought Mike did a great job. We had a great start, great plan for that. You know, I mean, even at the end there, I mean, we have a perfect play call on, and we score a touchdown, and we unfortunately got a guy covered up. You know, I mean, that's not how we planned it. You know, so sometimes you're calling plays, things like that happen. You have to adjust, and you know, Mike's done a great job in the offensive staff of prepping and preparing. You know, I'm always, from an offensive standpoint, you know, you want it perfect. Every play's got to be perfect. It's not like that, and they handle it and adjust well. And they'll coach up the mistakes that we made and get that corrected, and we'll be on to new things for this next game, and we'll be a little bit different. I mean, if you watch our games, we're always a little bit different, each and every game, and kind of how we do it. So what we come up with this next week, you know, it'll be the best thing for Air Force when we play them.
You guys have consistently stopped the run all season, but you know, talking with Juice and Yates over the last couple of weeks, they said that you guys will stop the pass. And you look at tonight, Broadway attempts 38 passes, completes only 20 of them for 160 yards. Pretty impressive performance stopping the pass.
Yeah.
And
Well, I mean,
big plays too for that.
yeah, I don't think there was any big plays. Maybe on a couple of little bubble screens out there, kind of swing screens, some big runs. They had a screen early on that was a big play. But you know, it is hard if you're somewhat one-dimensional offensively, where you're not running the ball and there's some obvious passing situations. So we've gotten better. I think we've gotten better at situational football. I think our guys are looking at it and down and distance going, he's throwing it. And they're smarter. They're just playing smarter. They're seeing things. They're seeing tendencies that people give them when they're going to throw it, and they're just playing off it. And then, you know, the more you play, the better you get. And so you're starting to see that as well in the back end. And to me, you know, defensively, when it all comes together, it looks pretty good.
Coach, how did it feel this week with the running game back on track after the struggles against UConn? Talk about the big game that Jai had, and even Demas. Is he going to be a guy that's going to get some more carries for you guys?
Yeah, if he rips off another 70-yarder or whatever that was that he had there. Yes, we need that. We need to run the ball, and we need to be balanced. I don't know what we were, pretty close, 262 rushing and 237 pass. So we're right in there, right in that balance phase. We operate the best when we're like that. And so the run game, and obviously Demas comes in, has a big one, rips it off, which at that point, you know, we didn't do well the drive before, and we're still backed up. It was time we needed something, and he was able to get that. So when guys do those things, I even thought Jack Fields, you know, we got ran down from behind. He can't stop that. You know, that's not on him. That's on handling the guy's backside and somewhat scheme. So those other backs, Jack, Demas, you see Bertoli out there on special teams. I mean, they're stepping up. They're getting better, and Jay continues to be a workhorse for us, but get us started. But those other guys filling in and complementing it is going to make us better. So we need to keep utilizing them.
You said you don't think that there's going to be many injuries that last over to next week, but did you kind of just keep Matt out as a precaution after that hit tonight, or was he just not able to get back?
He could have played. You know, he got a little bit rolled up there. And I think it was, at that time, it was 31-3. So we had some guys. Thomas Spurbeck has been practicing well this week, and you know, Matt's a tough guy, and if he grimaces a little bit, could you go? Yes. At the same time, you're not ever worried about his toughness. So you got some other guys that can roll. You know, it's time for them to roll, and we needed to. And we had enough of a lead there to let some other guys get in the mix and play a little bit. We're not ever trying to take our foot off the gas, but we got to give a guy a chance to kind of recoup a little bit. So that's what that was about.
Sorry if you were asked this, Coach, but Iwane was the reason he didn't play, and Odiambo, where was he at? And then also, you know, big picture, 4 games in now, and you've won 3 in a row. Do you feel like you guys are kind of building some momentum here heading back to conference play?
Reese, we should have back. I think in an emergency, Reese could play. Jeremy in an emergency could play in this game. And neither one of them practiced very much during the week. And so other guys have stepped up. Other guys are playing well. DSG was playing well. Chancellor was playing well. Used Corey back there. And so, we didn't need to use him, and gave him a chance to rest. And both those guys have played, and been banged up a little bit. Reese will be back this week. He'll be rocking and rolling, and he'll work himself back into the mix. What was the last part of it?
Just big picture. Do you get
Yeah.
you're kind of building some momentum here going back into
Well, I think we do. I think we got a little bit of momentum and rhythm, going into this game. And not just football. I think just our players' lives. Even with school, there's no more long trips. We're kind of in a normal schedule, even though we're traveling. And that's a big thing. When the school and life and everything kind of gets into a rhythm, football is going to be affected by that in a positive way. So I hope that affects us in a positive way, that we just feel good, going into this next game. And yeah, we've won 3, so we do have a little bit of a streak going there and something to build off of. But our deal is 1-0 each and every week. So that's over. Air Force is next, and we'll try to be 1-0 against them. But hopefully we're building off of what we've done.
Coach, plenty to choose from. Grant played, Giants played, defense really stepping up. If you had to pick a performance tonight, is there something that you would say was most important, or was it all of it?
I'd probably say one of the bigger plays for us was early on when we had a penalty, when we roughed the punter. And then they were able to get down there and hit a couple big plays, but we held them to 3 points in the red zone as defense. I mean, to me, that was probably the most significant. Is they had their chance to kind of close the gap, and we shut them down, and they got 3 points out of it. And being on the other side of that, that's demoralizing. That hurts. And so they got that close, and they come out with 3, and we're kind of rolling a little bit on offense early, where they need to keep that close to make it a tight game. I think our defense stepped up and made it where it wasn't ever really that tight from that standpoint. And to me, that's big. That's a big thing that for their momentum and our momentum, changes the mentality of the game and puts them on their heels a little bit, where they have to throw it some more. And then we're kind of where we want to be on the defensive side.
What if you just talk about Goodale's game today? I know he had 2 misses, and there was one before that. I know you guys ran a fake. Just maybe your decision to kind of run that there.
Yeah. We were kind of in that range, not out of range, but we saw a look that we thought we could do it. And we had the time out there. We came back, and it was like, if that's what we get, it's going to be money. And we had that exact look, and right before we snap it, before you can really check out of it, the guy backs out, and that's, they showed one thing, and they backed out of it, and they probably saw it, that maybe we saw it, and they made an adjustment, so good on their part. But it would have been something, it's things like that are only bad ideas if they don't work. All right, so it didn't work, and but I thought Dan kicked the ball off well tonight. Dan finished, with that field goal at the end, which was good. Had a couple that were pushed right, but the one thing I know about that, Dan will come back and work at it. I don't need to say anything to Dan, hey, you missed it and all that. He knows it, and he's going to work at it, and we're going to get better, because of this game, and just refocus you, assume nothing, and we'll go back to work.
You look at you trying to pick out the first downs in the fourth quarter. At times it wasn't successful, but the defense was able to get 3 and outs and get off the field. How impressive was that? And then also the interception by Dante Dion on the sideline.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice. I saw the tail end of it there. He went up there and tiptoed in. He's trying out for offense is what he's been doing. So he wants to have the ball in his hands, obviously. It was impressive. It's another big play. That's 2 weeks in a row, that we've had big plays from Dante on turnovers. And, offensively, when you get in that, you're 7, 8 minutes, 9 minutes, you want to put together a kind of a grinded drive. You'd love to do that. In a perfect world, you can kind of grind it out for about 6 minutes and then go score. And we need to get to a point where we're doing that. And we did towards the end there. Demas had a big play, and we got the field goal out of it. But defense being able to get 3 and out, offense has some life, 3 and out. They're back off the field. And then we're back on again offensively. So one group complementing the other, all right, and tell them let's go, and then eventually, teams got to work. Units have to work together, and we did towards the end, and we got the 3 points out of it.
Earlier this week, Mike Sanford said that with Grant coming into this season, being a starter, he said it's completely different than inheriting a job because of an injury. How have you seen him over the last few weeks seemingly become very consistent, very steady, and tonight he completed his first 15 passes of the game?
Yeah, and that was impressive. And I think the other thing too, at 0 turnovers. That's something that I think as a player, and particularly a quarterback, you go through the fire a little bit, and you decide, what you want to do and how you want to do it. And I think he's done that. All right, he's been stingy with the football as far as putting it out there. I think he's conceptually what we're doing and what he's seeing, he gets. And so you see him. That's why the first 15 are complete. And then I think the guys around him, they're more consistent with him and the way he's playing. The way the wide receivers run the routes, timing and all that, when to expect it. It's not a surprise where it's going to be, how he's going to lay it on them. And they're making plays. So, everybody's complimenting each other. And to me, I think when a quarterback is really at his best, you don't notice him a whole lot. He's just out there delivering. And tonight in those first 15 plays, he's out there just delivering, and guys are making plays, and that's really what you want to see, and we want him to continue that. So I like where he's at from a preparation standpoint and to where he's playing.
Coach, how important is it to get Jay going quickly in the game, and as he calls it, get the J train rolling?
Get the J train rolling. That's important. Yeah, it's obviously, again, like we talk about in the defense, if we can run the ball, we're trying to do one thing on one side and on the other do the opposite. So, yeah, we want to get it going. We want to go out there and establish that we will run the ball. We have the ability to run it, and we can be effective at it, and then that opens the rest of it up. So, and you can see it could be difficult, like we did at UConn, where we're not balanced like that. So, yeah, it's very important to get it going. That's what we want to do. We believe in the run. We believe you win games by running the ball, and so we want to get that going early.
Coach, I had a rumor that Jeremy had played wearing a catheter earlier this season. Can you confirm that?
No.